I'm Mel,
And I'm Andrea.
and we've been asking ourselves, WTF? Where's the fun?
So, welcome to our podcast for heart-led business leaders, entrepreneurs, and CEOs ready for more. More impact, more wealth, more joy, and more magic, all while having even more fun than ever before.
As co-founders of FunX, we believe that life and business is way more fulfilling when you're following the fun.
So we're flipping the script on success, giving you permission to create from a whole new paradigm where you can have a lasting impact while nurturing your well-being and having a freaking blast along the way.
So join us each week for engaging solo episodes
and real conversations with experts who are embodying this new paradigm of leadership, spiritual wealth, business growth, and of course, fun.
If you're ready to reignite your spark, make bold moves, and lead from a whole new energy,
let's jump in and have some fun. All right, welcome back to WTF, Where's the Fun podcast. I'm Andrea, and we have a very special guest who I'm super excited and grateful to have on. Ashley Moore, welcome.
How's it going?
Yay, I'm so excited about this. I feel like I've been inundating you with like a million questions, so I'm like, why not just have you on the podcast?
Get them all in one place.
Right? Exactly. And then I could just keep listening back and you can just keep helping me, which I'm grateful for. So
That's perfect.
yeah, and to give people a little context for a little bit about you, you are a strength and conditioning coach, a nutritionist, fat loss expert, and multi-fitness business owner, which I love. I love all your businesses. We'll jump into that. You're also a wife, a mom of 2 boys, 4 and 7. You've been in the fitness industry for almost 20 years now. And I love how you share, like, it's not just your career, it's your purpose, and how I think committed you are to helping women to lift heavy. Like that, I resonate so much with your approach to, I think not just fitness, but I think like the whole approach to wellness and nutrition and sustainability.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's sustainability is a big one. Because I think a lot of women get into these crazy sort of like fad, short-term, high intensity, extreme type programs because they're sitting at home and they're feeling like crap and they're like, I just need a kickstart. You would be amazed at how many times I hear that. I need a kickstart. So I need to go from 0 to 60 right away because that's what's going to motivate me. And the problem is that most women just continue this cycle of losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight, feeling like crap, feeling really good for 4 to 6 weeks because they're on this program, but they're so restricted that they go and they binge eat and they stop working out. And because the motivation goes away, right? Eventually it goes away. And so we can't rely on that to sustain us. We have to rely on habits that are sustainable for a long term, right? So that's really what we try to focus on in our program. And um, the lifting heavy part of that is really because women not only need to do that for their bodies, but I really think that women need to do that for their mental state too. I We just take on a lot, right? We have a lot to worry about and we have a big mental load that we carry, and when you're lifting heavy, it just sort of lets you work through all of that.
Yeah, it's so fascinating because I'm thinking of Mel and I on our journey because and we came from an athletic background. Like we both played high level sports. Even like I did for like a little spurt before policing. I was a personal trainer, but even through policing, like I had a very all or nothing approach to working out, and it was mostly just all. Like I would pretty much overtrain and and then what happened is I actually swung in the opposite direction. I think this is what happens with a lot of people that are high performers is that they then swing, and then I was like, okay, I need to actually learn how to nurture myself. And it was to the point where I was almost scared to get back into pushing myself from a loving place.
Yeah.
And I've been feeling like that for probably a while, probably longer than I'd like to admit, but more recently, I'd like really feeling inspired, like actually genuinely excited to get back into it, but almost like scared because I I felt like I had some knowledge, enough knowledge to get me back in my old routine, but not enough to actually do things in a different way. And that's when like and I go to your gym, I'm part of your community, I've been following you along on social media, and you give so much value about doing things differently that it really kind of piqued my curiosity to be like, I actually feel like that seems like a sustainable way of doing things and doing things differently. So I can say, and we've only been working together for like 2 weeks,
2 weeks.
literally blown my mind on so many things that I thought I was doing well. And it
Right.
wasn't even that I was doing it horribly, but like things that I thought was healthy
Mhm.
wasn't necessarily the right approach. And then mindset around how I was doing things was also like completely backwards. So maybe we could like debrief some of that stuff because I think a lot of people will relate to that as well. Like especially people who a lot of our listeners like they're pretty health conscious. Like they for the most part love moving, enjoy eating well. And I think there's also a huge opportunity for us to like increase our performance, our potential in a way that's also fun. Like I've been having more fun doing this in the last 2 weeks than I could probably say that I've ever had doing something like this. So,
Amazing.
yeah.
That's good. That's good. We want it to be a good experience, right? It's like I have a lot of women that, you know, they don't want to work out. They don't like working out. And we want to make working out fun because if it's not fun, you're not going to do it.
Right?
Like, you're
Have
just
to.
not. Yeah. So you do have to find the things that you really love, and although I definitely encourage women to lift weights, if you really hate lifting weights, then go find something else that you really love, right? Is it optimal to be lifting heavy weights? Yes, it is for bone density, for glucose regulation, all of that kind of stuff. But I mean, if you despise it and you have to push yourself to go do it every single time, then it doesn't matter because it's not going to be sustainable anyways. So,
1,000%.
yeah,
And even like in your onboarding process, I love how it's like week 1, it's like just get in the habit of being in week 1. It's like there's no pressure. It's
yeah,
just figuring out your stuff. And I
exactly.
think that's part of it too. It's not like pressure. It's more so, ooh, okay, I get to be curious. I get to kind of experiment and just see where I'm at. So
Totally.
let's start with macros because that was actually one of the things that I found fascinating and I didn't really understand. And I probably still don't fully understand. But what is your thoughts about counting macros? Are they important? What do we need to know?
Yeah. So, okay. So, first of all, macros are macronutrients, and you have three macronutrients you have protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Um, and macro means big, micro means little. Probably most people know that. Then you have micronutrients. And so micronutrients don't contain calories, so they don't have energy, right? Calories get a bad rap. So I think it's really important for us to look at what calories are objectively. And a calorie is a unit of measurement for energy. That's all it is. So they get a bad rap because, so many women have been in this cycle of counting calories, reducing calories, always watching their calorie intake. And the problem is that that is all important. Those things are important if we want to have a healthy body composition. But we need to look at what a calorie is for what it is, and all it is a unit of measurement, right? So, macronutrients contain calories. Your protein and your carbohydrates contain 4 calories per gram, and then your fats contain 9 calories per gram. And so this is where fats can be problematic because they're basically double the amount of calories per volume, right? For the volume of food that you're eating. from protein and carbohydrates. And so a lot of women will start to make healthy changes in their diet and they're not tracking their food, but they're making healthier choices. They're choosing foods. We all know what's healthy and what's not healthy, right? We can look at an apple and a bowl of fuzzy peaches and we can choose which one is healthy. Most of us know that, right? So, but the problem is that many women will still overeat with healthy food because they're not tracking their food and they're usually not having the right balance of foods. So they're typically under eating protein and overeating fats and or carbohydrates. And so that balance is really important for our hormones to be optimized.
That's fascinating. I was shocked at the amount of fat we ate. Because like, and I know, like, and you even say this, like, fat's not bad. And at the same time, if you're eating like a ridiculous amount of fat, that's also not helpful if you are focusing on some of these goals and intentions.
Yeah.
So I actually enjoy doing the macro, like, counting. Like, I'm sure some people are like, "This isn't fun to do forever," and I know the goal isn't necessarily to track them, like, strictly forever, but it's kind of fun. It's like a game,
Yeah.
and then figuring out, I think, yeah, like, how could you make some wiser choices right off the get-go and still eating well?
Yeah. Yeah, and so, I mean, there's never one perfect method for everybody, right? Uh,
Yeah.
but this is the way that we teach people because we specialize in weight loss and we specialize in sustainable weight loss. So, this is the best tool for us to use that is still going to get people results because at the end of the day, if you're not going to get results from what you're doing, you're not going to do it anymore. So that's most important is getting results. Second, we want to make sure that it is sustainable long term. So, all of the habits that we're creating while we're counting macros and tracking our food, all of those habits are going to be something that we do have to do forever. So, we have to find those habits that are realistic for us as an individual to maintain for a lifetime, right? And we have to use the tools temporarily, but it's the tools that are going to teach us to be more intuitive in the future. So we are counting macros now because we're learning about our food. We're learning to look at a piece of chicken breast that's this big. And I like to guess. I always kind of play that game too. And I'm like, I bet you that's 28 grams of protein. Let's weigh it. Let's find out. Yes, I was right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so the more you track and the longer you track, the more you learn about your food and the more you can be more intuitive in the future so that you don't have to track your food forever. But I always say that this is a skill. We are learning eating skills, just like in the gym, where strength is a skill. You do not get good at it in 2 weeks. It
Yeah.
takes time. You have to practice. And it's so funny that you said it's like a game because we always call it food Tetris.
Well, it is because you have to, like, juggle things around, be like, "I'm over on this, so how can I move
How did
this?"
I like move this around and fit that one in? Yeah, exactly. And there becomes less and less and less in that of that as you get better at it and as you're doing it because it becomes second nature eventually and you just know what to pick that's going to fit in there eventually.
Today's episode of WTF Where's the Fun is sponsored by The Fun Experience, a curated mastermind for established business owners, entrepreneurs, and CEOs ready for more. More magic, more joy, more wealth, and more fun than ever before. So if you're ready for a peer-to-peer mastermind that's helping you to embody more leadership, more impact, and make bold moves, The Fun Experience is where it's at.
It's so good. And okay, so because I had enough, I don't know, like, it never really clicked until I started to do it with you. Like, I understood that I needed to eat more protein, but I didn't really understand how much protein I was actually eating until I started to do it. So I think there really is a big, maybe not even disconnect, but there's a big difference between knowing things and then like having the awareness and then doing the thing.
Definitely.
So when you first start working with somebody, what are some of like the key habits that you try to teach them right off the bat?
Yeah. So I like my clients to stay habit focused, because if you stay habit focused, the results come instead of being focused on the result, because then you're focusing on something that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So we need to focus in real time, right? So we focus on the habits. So number one, we want to aim for 20 to 30 grams of protein at every meal, because that's going to help break up that large protein target, right? And usually we want to have 3 meals plus probably one snack per day. Again, this can really vary based on the individual and your schedule. And there are no real hard rules as far as like you have to eat breakfast, you have to stop eating after 6 p.m., because those are things that don't really matter that much. You don't want to major in the minors, right? You really just want to find something that is sustainable for you that's still going to get you the results. So we don't stick with those hard rules, but we want to break up the protein a little bit so that it's easier for you to get in the protein spaced out through the day. And when we focus on a per meal amount, then we're also helping our blood sugar levels to stay stabilized, because protein does that for us, and so does fiber. So we set that sort of protein goal, that habit that we have, and even if, I have a client that's going on vacation, like I get a lot of people that say, "Oh, I should start this in September, because in April I've got this, and in May I've got this, and everything's going to slow down." And it's like, but that is the problem and why you will never be successful, because this is not about being perfect. This is about starting to implement those habits now, because life will always be crazy. So you have to be able to do it while life is crazy too, or else it won't stick, right?
Yeah.
So those habits are so important. So we do those protein habits, and then we also focus on fiber. So I usually ask my clients to get anywhere between 20 and 30 grams of fiber per day, depending on your age. If you're a little bit closer to like 50, between 40 and 50, then it's going to be a little bit higher, because you're getting into that perimenopause stage and you need more fiber in that stage. So we focus on that. The other thing that we try to implement is like a daily step count. So we want our clients to hit, usually, and again, this is based on the individual, but somewhere between 8 and 12,000 steps a day, depending on where you're at. So it's important that we don't take someone who's completely sedentary, that is getting 1,500 steps a day, and say, you need to hit 10,000 steps a day. They're going to be like, I quit.
Right?
Like, it's impossible, right? So we would take someone like that and say, okay, I want you to aim for 4,000 steps a day. And then we kind of make those changes over time, right? So we have our fiber goal, our protein goal, we have our steps, and then we want to focus on our water intake, making sure that we're drinking anywhere between 1.5 to 3 liters of water per day. And in our app, we have a way for you to check off those daily habits to make sure that you're staying focused on that every single day. And then the next day you wake up, it's a new day and you focus on those habits again.
It's so true. It really is, as you're saying, it's like it's a new it is a new habit. Because the things that I noticed right off the bat, especially the first week, was my protein was lower, my fat was insane.
Yeah.
And then I was not moving. And I was just so used to like, I don't even have necessarily a desk job. I sit at a desk, but it's not like I have to sit at my desk the whole time. And my habit has been sitting at my desk all day. So it does make you to like, it really becomes a change in lifestyle, but it's also like, you can make it what you want. Like Mel and I have been going on more walks together, and it's like, it's been fun instead of just, I don't know, like I would actually have had no idea. I would have called myself someone that was fairly active, and I was like, this is so not true. If I actually looked at my steps, it's like the opposite. So I found that in itself, like just having awareness of like how many steps you have is
Yeah.
incredible. And I never really understood, because a lot of people, I feel like there's a lot right now online about menopause, perimenopause, all of the things.
Yeah.
And I never really understood some of this stuff until we started to talking a little deeper into it. Like let's say even the steps, like why is the steps important?
Yeah. So a lot of people, when they're starting off on a weight loss journey and they're just in that mindset that they're like, I need to change, I need to lose weight. And they go and they hire a personal trainer. That's what they do. That's their step. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I am a personal trainer. But you probably are focusing on the wrong thing, and it's more so that you're focusing on you're not focusing on what's going to get you the best results, because your exercise really only accounts, and it depends on the exercise, depends on the person, there's a lot of nuance, but your exercise generally is only going to account for about 5% of your total daily energy expenditure. It's not very much. So if we're focusing on killing ourselves in the gym for 45 minutes, great, you've burned 300 calories maybe. Some people have that in coffee. So you're not getting a lot of bang for your buck, and you're probably going to spin your wheels and go nowhere unless you're focusing on your nutrition. And it's not so much about what you're eating, but it is about how much you're eating. And I know people don't like to hear that, but we cannot deny that. When it comes to losing body fat, it is an energy exchange. That's what it is. So you must burn more calories than you take in. And the best way for us to do that without us really noticing or having to put in that much effort, because if you have to put in a lot of effort for something, a lot of people end up quitting eventually, right?
Yeah.
So the best way is to increase what's called NEAT. So that's non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And it's the amount of calories that your body burns just from daily movement. So that could be cleaning the house. That could be just taking your dog for a walk. That could be just walking around your office, things like that. If you can increase that just sort of normal activity so that you're not sitting and staying dormant as much as you were before, that's going to make a big difference.
Yeah, especially as like I'm thinking a lot of our listeners are either like entrepreneurs, business owners,
Yeah.
professionals, and it's true. It's like let's optimize what we can what we can do and keep it really simple because we have a million other things.
Yeah.
Then what is the importance of strength training?
Yeah. And so strength training can be simplified too, right? Like people probably think that I can work out all the time, but it's probably the hardest for me to work out, because if I'm on the gym floor, I've got 50 people coming up to me in a 30-minute workout, asking me questions, getting me to put out a fire, whatever, right? So it's so hard for me to get a workout in my own gym. I almost need a gym membership somewhere else, which I can't do obviously, but that would be weird. But yeah, it's hard. It's really hard, but it's important to find something again that's sustainable. Like I'm going to keep coming back to that, right? So a lot of women think if I don't put in an hour in the gym 4 to 5 times a week, what's the point? Then it's useless, right? And my motto is something is better than nothing, always. So even if you got 20 minutes in 2 times a week, it's better than getting 0 minutes in. So with strength training, there's so many benefits to it. There's so many benefits. Number one, it's going to make you stronger. Okay. And we need to be strong. There's always been this sort of weird thing for women where we need to be dainty, or, we have to have long, lean muscles, which don't actually even exist unless that's just your genetics. And we've shied away from lifting heavy weights for a long time. It's definitely getting better, which I think is amazing. But you don't get the stimulus from body weight exercises. You don't get the stimulus from bands, TRX, suspension training type things. You don't get the amount of stimulus that you need in order to really build lean tissue. And that's your muscle. And in order to actually have an effect on your bone density. And as soon as women hit 35, they start losing their muscle mass right away. And then as soon as you hit about 40, your bone density starts to plummet as well. So if you're not doing those things in order to at least preserve muscle and preserve the bone density that you have, then you're getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And 35 is not that old. So now imagine you've got another 40 years left and you're just getting weaker as you age. So it's the most important thing that women can do, but it's also going to help you to keep a healthy body composition, because the more muscle you have, the more energy your body needs, which means that you can take in more calories and not gain body fat. So that's one. The other thing too is there's a lot of talk about insulin out there right now. And, there's lots of gurus on social media that are saying, insulin is a fat packing hormone, which is true. But we don't want insulin to be down here all the time. Our body responds to our environment and the foods that we eat by having these peaks and valleys with our hormones, and insulin is a hormone. So when we take in sugar, carbohydrates, anything like that, insulin is released, and then it basically makes the glucose in your blood and it puts it into the places that need energy, like your muscle. So if you have more muscle and if you're strength training, you're going to have better blood glucose regulation. So that can help you avoid type 2 diabetes in the future, insulin resistance, all of those issues that can make it really, really difficult to have a healthy life. Strength training can help you with all of them.
This is so good. You shared, okay, this might be a silly question. And I usually have like so many silly questions for you. It's usually the ones that people are thinking but don't say. So I'll just say them. So one of the things I remember was I was under eating, especially carbs. And then I was like, there was this part of me that was like, if I eat carbs, am I going to be fat? Because I was so used to almost feeling, it was actually a really fascinating connection. I felt like I was undernourishing my joy by not having carbs. So I'm like, fascinating. But it was this almost this subconscious fear. Like if I'm eating these carbs, because I wasn't used to eating as much, was it going to make me fat?
Yeah.
And then you're like, that's what everyone thinks, but no.
Yeah. Everybody thinks that, and everybody asks that question usually when they get their macros and they're like, excuse me, I can't eat this many carbs. And I'm like, first of all, and it's either usually two things. Either one, people do undereat carbs because they're afraid of them. Or two, women think they don't eat a lot of carbs. And then when they start tracking, they realize that they actually do eat a lot of carbs. So because they don't realize that all of the sauces and the condiments that they're having contain carbs, they don't realize that vegetables and fruits are carbs, right? So we look at total carbs, not just certain types of carbs, because at the end of the day, yes, your body will utilize different carbs differently, but they still contain the same amount of energy. And so it doesn't really matter. You have to look at total carbohydrates, right? So the main issue and the reason why carbs have been demonized is because carbs are delicious. And we overeat things that are delicious. And when we overeat things like that, we tend to put ourselves in a total daily calorie surplus. So it's the overconsumption of total calories that makes us gain weight. And we can very easily eat too many calories with highly satiating foods, usually carbohydrates. Most of the time, it's a food that is high in carbohydrates and fat, something like a cookie, right?
Right.
So it's very, very easy to overeat these foods because they're low volume foods with a high calorie punch. And so we can eat a lot of them because they don't fill us up, but we're actually eating a lot of calories.
What are your thoughts on oatmeal then?
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on all food is that it all fits as long as you make it fit, right? So I don't like oatmeal, so I almost never eat it. But it's been kind of touted as like a health food, right? And yes, it's healthy because oatmeal has fiber in it. You can get into the argument about glyphosate and, some people avoid oatmeal because of the glyphosate, and that's fine. That's an individual choice. Um, I try to just present facts and I allow my clients to make the choice on their own. Um, so if you want to eat oatmeal, eat it, but make sure that it fits and make sure that you're pairing it with a protein so that we can regulate blood glucose levels. And if we regulate blood glucose levels, you're not going to have as many crashes. And usually people have oatmeal in the morning, right? So then they get a crash in the afternoon if they don't have protein with their oatmeal. And they tend to crave more carbs because of that. So it has to be paired with protein, number one. And number two, you just have to make sure that if you're having oatmeal at breakfast, you're not having a sandwich at lunch and a rice bowl at dinner. Because if you've done that, you've probably had 250 grams of carbs in a day. And that's usually too much. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, this is so good. I feel like there's a lot of myths when it comes to fitness and nutrition. Do you have like some off the top of your head that usually come up as like the key ones that either people come to you and they're like, help me with this, or like you need to debunk consistently?
Yeah. I feel like I'm always debunking all the time. Um, And I would say, like, there's probably people that are like, "Well, why should I listen to you over somebody else?" And I would say, first of all, always do your own research and ask lots of questions, no matter what, no matter who you're speaking with, because there are even doctors on social media that honestly give horrible health advice. So it really doesn't matter what your qualifications are sometimes. What really matters is people's vocabulary. And so if you come across somebody who speaks in absolutes and they talk about blanket statements like every single person should do this, every single person should not do this, or you should never eat this, that is usually a red flag because I talk a lot about intermittent fasting and I talk about keto, and I'm not a fan of either of those things. But there is a time and a place for them, and it's highly individual. Generally speaking, I'm not going to put a regular client on a program like that because usually I'm setting them up for failure. If we're cutting out entire food groups or we're fasting, which usually leads to binge eating in the long run, I'm setting them up for failure for no reason. However, if I have a client with PCOS, I'm probably going to get them on somewhat of a ketogenic diet. Not ketogenic, but
What's PCOS?
polycystic ovarian syndrome. So usually women with PCOS, not all the time, but usually they have insulin resistance. And so they do better on a low carb diet. The thing is though, is that I am going to experiment first. I want to make the least amount of restrictions that I have to in order to still drive results. So Am I going to go right to a no carb diet for somebody? No, I'm going to start them off with something moderate. And if they get results with that, we're going to keep going. If they don't, then I'm going to make adjustments from there. So there's a time and a place for these things, right? If I have someone with a lot of gut issues, first of all, I'm going to have them work with someone who's more qualified than I am. I'm qualified to give nutrition advice. I'm not qualified to heal your gut. So anyone who's a nutritionist should be telling you the same thing. You might have to go to a medical doctor. You might have to go to a GI specialist. You may need to go to a naturopathic doctor. And then we can work together on making changes so that you heal whatever's going on, right? But if I have someone with lots of gut issues, maybe some fasting could be helpful for that person. But it's highly individual. And generally speaking, I coach women who just don't have their lifestyle factors in check. And it's a very simple change. We just have to get those habits in check. And we just need to be consistent with that. Most women don't stick to anything long enough for it to actually be helpful for them. So we just have to stick to it long enough to see all of the pieces come into play, right? So generally speaking, those are the women that I'm helping. Those are the women that I'm speaking to on my social media as well. And so I think when you're looking for a coach or you're looking for someone to take advice from, then you just have to be careful with their vocabulary or watch their vocabulary. If they're always speaking and never always absolute type vocabulary, then usually that's a red flag.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. I think this is where discernment comes in. Is there alignment with even values and what you feel is right for you?
Yeah.
I 1,000% agree. I have a question because what you said was really, I think, a great segue for, I don't remember how you said it, but it was like, it really is. They just haven't given themselves long enough for it to actually become part of their lifestyle. So what would be the best practices, especially for the busy women, or what they should prioritize, and maybe some of the things that it's like, it's not worth their time, they could ignore?
Yeah, so I think a lot of women major in the minors, and I use that saying a lot because I think that I've got women that I know in my circle that have a cupboard full of supplements, but they don't strength train and they don't track their protein intake and they have no idea how much fiber they get in a day, but they are concerned with all of these different natural supplements that they're going to take. And none of that is going to matter if you don't have the foundation solid first. And honestly, you're probably not even going to need very many supplements if you have your lifestyle factors in check. So I think most women are looking for, they think that something's broken. They think their body's broken or their hormones are out of whack, and they probably are, but that's because of all of your lifestyle habits. And even if you think that you're doing a good job and you're eating the right foods, maybe you're not eating enough of one thing and you're eating too much of another thing. And so what isn't tracked can't be measured, right? And this is why tracking is so important. This is why we get our clients to track their steps, to track their period, to track their macros, because now we have knowledge. Now we're arming ourselves with knowledge and we know where to go. If we aren't tracking any of that, it's all just guesswork, right? So I think that's one thing that women struggle with. I think the other thing too is they want it to go fast. And usually if something goes fast, it comes back faster. So fat cells have memory just like muscle cells. If you lose body fat really fast, the chances of you gaining it back are almost 100%. So you have to take it slow because it's not about what you did to lose the weight. It's all about the habits that you've implemented that you can actually sustain for a lifetime after the fact.
Yeah, that's so good. So then what would be your go-to simple ways to track some of these things? So macros, steps, what else did we say? We're
Your
trying to
cycle.
your cycle.
Track your cycle. Yeah. So I'm not endorsed by any by any of these apps. They're just apps that I have found that work well, that are user friendly. I like the Flow app for tracking your cycle. Tracking your cycle will give you a lot of insight on your behavior when it comes to, yeah, and your energy levels and things like that when it comes to eating or exercising. Um, I don't believe in doing things according to the phase of cycle you're in. I believe that you should just always listen to your body. So if in a certain phase of the cycle you have low energy, you feel weak, maybe it's not a good time to lift heavy. You can still do resistance training, but maybe stick with lighter dumbbells, cables, things like that. But always listen to how your body's feeling in that moment, because that can change from month to month. I just posted a video the other day of me getting a deadlift PR during the phase of my cycle that cycle syncing people say that I should be stretching and sitting on the couch in a Snuggie. Well, I just got a PR deadlift and I felt great. So why am I listening to that? I'm listening to my body instead, right? So yeah.
Okay, so we have Flow. What about for
Yeah.
macros?
Yeah, so macros, we have MyFitnessPal. There's lots of different tracking apps. Our coaching app integrates with MyFitnessPal, and we like MyFitnessPal because it tends to have the most data in it. So you can go to literally any restaurant and you can find what to eat when you're at a restaurant and track it. So it just has a huge database. And it is the most user friendly. It's expensive because you do have to use the premium version. But to me, it's 100% worth the money in order for it to be less stressful for you.
Totally. That's the one that we use. And we do like it because it is like a game and it's simple. It really is simple.
Yeah.
And I feel like it all works itself out because then you're not eating as much shit. So you're not spending as much on shit. So
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, so MyFitnessPal for tracking food, and then any step tracker. It literally doesn't matter. The one that I use is $30 from Amazon. And like, you don't have to pay a bunch of money for a step tracker, and you don't have to have all the bells and whistles. You just need to know how many steps you're getting in. Some people like to track their sleep. Um, and that's fine. I like to take a more natural approach to sleep. So I like to have those devices off of me when I'm sleeping. I like to have my cell phone out of the room when I'm sleeping. I think that's important for sleep quality. I would say that people, if they're having trouble with their sleep, it might be a good idea just to track it for a few nights and see what's going on there. And then it can give you a little bit of data on what's happening. But other than that, I would say keep it off your body if you can at night, and just use it during the day so that you're just kind of reducing that sort of toxic load on your body.
yeah, I love it. I'm the same. We just have a couple rapid fire questions from some of our, we did a poll, so from some of our listeners.
Awesome.
So one of them is best investment for a home gym, which I think is a great question.
Okay. Best investment for a home gym. So get a barbell with bumper plates. Get 5, 10, 20, and 30-pound dumbbells. Get a light kettlebell and a heavy kettlebell, and then get some mini bands or fabric bands. And they're basically like loop bands that go around your knees.
What about a bench? Did you say a bench? Do they need a bench? Not really.
Nope. Not if you're trying to save money. You don't need a bench. You can do everything on the floor.
Okay. Weighted vest.
Is it a yes or no, or what's my
Yeah, what if
answer?
is it worth it? Is it an essential?
Yeah. Okay, so if you're over 40, it's an essential. If you're under 40, it's not an essential, but definitely worth it. You can get them on Amazon pretty cheap. You want to aim for approximately 10% of your body weight, roughly. More so, think about lean body weight. So if you have quite a bit of body weight to lose, then go based on sort of like what your BMI tells you. Okay. That's kind of the only time the BMI is actually helpful. Otherwise, you kind of can ignore it. Yeah.
So just to give like a real-time example, so I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know, 1 45.
Yeah.
And then you recommended anywhere between like a 12 and 16 pound vest, somewhere
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, around 10% of your lean body weight. And it's very helpful. It can help with bone density again. There are some studies out there that show that it can actually help with appetite control too. And of course, if you're carrying around extra weight while you're walking, then you're burning more energy.
I love it. How can you get more fiber? Like, what are the things that will help us get more fiber?
Yeah. So fiber is like it's so weird because it's like a controversial thing right now. Because
Interesting.
yeah, because we have the carnivore diet that's kind of like a fad right at the moment. And so there are people out there that say that fiber isn't necessary. And there are people out there that say that cholesterol is not a bad thing. But women die of heart disease more than they die of anything else. And high LDL cholesterol, which is your bad cholesterol, um, is going to contribute to heart disease. And fiber is one of those things that can help you to reduce your LDL cholesterol. And so it's different from dietary cholesterol that you get from eggs, for example. So back in the day, people demonized eggs because they had cholesterol in them, but it actually only helps to increase your good cholesterol, which is your HDL. So it's a little bit different. But if you're trying to get your fiber in, because we want about 25 grams per day. This is important. It's not just important for cholesterol, but it's important for your bowels, your gut health, like everything. So we want to aim to have 2 meals a day that have fruits and veggies. So that's one thing that you want to focus on. 2 meals a day that have fruits and veggies. Your high fiber foods, number one is raspberries. They're really, really high fiber. They're like 9 grams of fiber per serving. All brand buds are a really good option that you can put in like yogurt parfaits or throw them on a salad. They're really high in fiber. Then you have your beans. So like edamame beans, black beans, kidney beans. Those are high in fiber. Lentils. And then all of your sort of like leafy type green vegetables, your spinach, your broccoli, asparagus. Those are all high fiber as well. So just make sure that you're aiming for those 2 meals a day with fruits and veggies, and then focus on those high fiber foods. And they don't even have to be a big part of your meal. You can kind of like sprinkle them all over the place.
Cool. I
Yeah.
love that. Raspberries, I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah.
And they're
And
so good.
apples too. Apples are good too. But they
Apples?
have to have the skin.
Okay. Ashley, how can people learn more about you, your maybe even just touch base on like, because you do have multi fitness based businesses. Maybe you can share a little bit more of that. We'll also make sure we include your links in our show notes as well.
Yeah. So I have run an online coaching business for 11 years now. It's called The Barbells. And you can find us online, thebarbells.com. You can find our Instagram as well. It's just Team Barbells, as well as my personal account, which is at Coach Ashley Moore. And I post a whole bunch of information on there. I try to give as much value as I can on my Instagram account. You can learn lots, even if you don't sign up for coaching, you can learn lots from my Instagram account. And that's more so for like the online coaching. That's where we focus on helping women with weight loss. We do individual exercise programming. And it's all done through our app. We've got video links to all the exercises, which you know you're following as well. And so that's a really comprehensive online coaching program. We can coach women all over the world. And then the other business that I have is Fit Gym and Personal Training, which is in Huntsville. And we are a little boutique gym. And so we have open gym, we have a fob system, and then we also kind of specialize in group strength training programs. So we have over 35 classes a week, and we really focus on trying to incorporate sort of like a team training atmosphere to keep people motivated and get them lifting. And we offer things like spin and yoga as well, just as a supplement to your strength training.
You have a very, I will say, like, committed community.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. I have clients that have been with me. My longest standing client right now, she's been with me for 9 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And it's not because she needs to lose weight. She started off that way. But her goals have changed, and I've been programming her training for that long, and she's been doing classes with us, our women's strength program. And yeah, she's been with me for a long time. So yeah.
I see the value. I'm a big believer in having a coach to perform better, and
Yeah.
it's also more fun because then you don't have to think about it. You just have to do it.
Hopefully. Yeah, exactly.
So good. Okay, so Ashley, if you were to leave the listeners with one more thing from your heart to their heart, what would you want them to know?
I would want them to be patient with themselves, to stop doing things that don't work. Stop going around and around in the same cycle of binge and restrict, because this is not just about changing your body, but it is about changing your life to the point where there is joy again.
Yeah.
And you're not putting your life on hold to get the body that you want, because it's not sustainable. So be patient. Take the time that you need to take to learn the new skills that are required for this to be a lifelong habit for you. And start lifting heavy weights.
Yes, I love it. And just, I know this isn't necessarily going to be everybody's experience, but I can say for myself, the biggest thing that it's been, okay, I'm going to preface this, it's been 2 weeks. But the biggest thing that I've experienced so far is honestly my energy. And I think why this is also the joy. Like, I'm genuinely enthusiastic about this again. And it doesn't actually feel like in the past, I would write in my calendar, I'd be like, I'm going to do a workout. And then I would just end up waiting it out because I never did my workout. And now I'm actually like genuinely excited about it, that I'm actually moving things around my workout. But why that's important is because, and Mel even said this, because she's started to like incorporate some of the things that I've been doing, and she's going back into her paint company. And she's like, I can see that if I wasn't doing this, and especially with the strength piece, she's like, I would not have the energy that I want to perform my best in my paint company. And I was like, 1,000%. And I want to go around, and I'm doing more and more speaking. So I actually believe that this is expanding my capacity for even more of what I want. And it's not actually taking away from my day, it's adding on to it. So yeah, I think finding the joy in it, I think the approach of find what feels joyful for you and what works for you. And then if you need support, find somebody that resonates with you and has similar values and actually knows what they're talking about. And that could be you, because I do very believe in the things that you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is so good. I'm so grateful for you. I feel like I'm excited to keep working with you and just continue sharing what you're up to. And I'm really grateful that also the way you approach on Instagram is like you're just willing to put yourself out there and just like share, because I think I think there can be a lot of noise, and having someone that believes so strongly the way you do, I think it's inspiring.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yay. Thank you, Ashley.
Thanks for listening to WTF. Where's the fun?
We're Andrea and Mel, and we're so excited to be on this journey with you to see how fun it can get.
If today's episode brought a little bit more fun into your world, be sure to subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review.
And remember, life and business is so much better when you're following the fun. So let's have some fun.